Hey, today I'm going to be giving you the 12 most helpful keys to success that I use in my consulting with homeschool parents all the time. And I have to say, if even one of these is going to meet your needs today, if even one of them brings you success or peace or confidence, then this workshop is going to be totally worth it. My name is Lee Benz, and I'm the Home Scholar. My mission is helping parents homeschool middle school and high school, and I know how difficult it can be because I had trouble homeschooling as well. And in the process, I learned some great keys that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And I know that you want to maintain your sanity while you're homeschooling. And I really think this workshop is going to help you today. So welcome everybody to the class. And oh, I've got to tell you, we do have a workbook. This is mine. So you probably want to grab your workbook now. Hi, Suzanne from Connecticut. Good to see you. Listen, I thought what would be really fun, well, before we get started, we've got about one whole minute. Okay, so within the next 30 seconds, I want you to type in and tell me what drives you absolutely batty about homeschooling right now. Okay, because everybody has their own thing that drives them truthfully insane, and I want you to feel like you're going to be successful. All right, so if you want to chime in with, there you go, what you're doing, then that'd be great. What's driving you crazy, I think would be super fun. Oh, okay, I understand. Christy says she has to hop off at about 1:30. I totally understand. There you go. Here's your workbook. And it looks like it's almost time to get started. So if you could turn off your phone, make sure that you have all of the other tabs closed, and that way you'll be able to focus on learn. By the way, on your workbook today, remember the workbook looks like this. On your workbook, everything that you need to write down in the workbook, I underlined in my notes, so it should be very easy. And I have a free book for those who are staying to the end. So Cassandra said her biggest challenge is keeping up with work so she can evaluate and give meaningful feedback. Boy, you know what? Amen. Because if it's not soon, then it doesn't really help them. Karen says she has only one child and much of homeschooling is geared to multiple children. Yes, that is true as well. My ebook, this free ebook that we're giving away at the end, will be really helpful, though, no matter how few or many children you have. Okay, well, I have top of the hour now, so it looks like we need to get going. I hope you have your workbook ready. Welcome to my class, the 12 Keys to High School Success. Let me introduce myself. I'm Lee Benz, and I'm the Home Scholar. I homeschooled my two children from 3rd grade through high school graduation. Like Suzanne, I was the teacher, principal, sometimes lunch lady, sometimes janitor, not always the pal part. That's cute. Anyway, both of my boys earned 4-year full tuition scholarships to their first choice university. And in the process of homeschooling, I did not, in fact, have a complete and total meltdown. And so today I want to share with you the 12 keys to high school success so that you can homeschool with peace and confidence and be successful in the end. We're definitely going to be talking about motivation today, Kim, so you're going to love it. Now, this class is perfect for you if you have a pre-junior high or high school student and you want to make sure that you're doing all that you can to help them become successful in high school, in college, in career, and in life. I am going to be giving a special offer for the high school solution, which is intended to help parents that would like a little encouragement as they're homeschooling high school, particularly those who, don't have a support group that they can meet with regularly. So I'm going to be spending about an hour telling you the 12 keys to high school success, and then I'll spend about maybe 10 minutes on my offer for the high school solution. You're really going to want to pay attention, though, because we do have a big workshop bonus, special classes that we're adding, a 4-book bundle to those who purchase, lots of other goodies as well. So it's going to be a great offer, even though it only lasts for 10 minutes. So let's talk for just a second and talk about what is your biggest stressor. When you think about homeschooling high school, what freaks you out the most? Sometimes it's teaching the hard stuff or being overwhelmed, or like Kim, the motivation, or finding curriculum or choosing classes or making sure they're prepared, or maybe you feel like you're ruining your child's future. And we'll say the more that we are honest with each other now, the better you'll get more information out of this class today. Now, for me, my biggest concern was having an absolute meltdown, right? Totally being incapable, failing. That was my biggest concern. But everybody else has their own things that they're worried about. Like Kim, worried about if they'll learn what they need to learn, that sort of thing. And I know that everybody has their own issues that they're facing, but this class is going to help you. And I hope it brings you some peace of mind. So in this workshop, you're going to learn the key to gaining confidence, both emotionally and academically. We'll talk about the key to improving the love of learning and improving team cooperation and motivation. We'll talk about the key to choosing curriculum, which can save you a bunch of money. We'll talk about the keys to success, even when teenagers are constantly changing their mind about everything. So I hope that that is what you have come to learn today. And if it is, if you could just type in yes, that'd be great. Just type in the word yes. Homeschooling a difficult child, choosing curriculum. Amen. Yeah, so what happens is parents feel like they're being stopped on all sides because, being a parent to teenagers is hard, and the road to gradual independence has a lot of bumps. And so kids could start off compliant and then take a nasty turn and maybe be defiant once, twice, or as a default attitude. The honest truth is that homeschooling high school can be challenging, and not everybody feels like they're cut out to do it. You do have to be able to help them learn tough things, math, English, foreign language. You have their future to consider. You have their attitudes about college and career to deal with, and those are a moving target for most teens. Meanwhile, parents like you and me, as we're homeschooling, we're worried about the consequences of failure, which, to a teenager, they call that couch potato. That's failure to launch. To a homeschool parent, it's like a total meltdown, right? And so everybody has their own issues, and sometimes you feel like you're at the end of your rope. What if you don't educate your children the right way? What if you don't prepare them for college and all of a sudden they need to go? What if you ruin their future? What if you can't motivate them to become successful adults? There's a lot of fears and concerns involved. It's enough to drive a family crazy. This is an actual picture of me and my family in the middle of one of my meltdowns. I think you probably recognize those crazy-eyed smiles. That's me on the left. I know we stress out about a lot of things, which increases the stress within the family, not just within the homeschool. And I'll tell you a secret about me. Now, this is me being really vulnerable. Okay, so I hope this is a no judgment zone. In fact, I would love it if you could type in no judgment zone, because then I'd feel more comfortable. So here's the thing. I started to recognize trends in my homeschooling. I was having these consistently crazy meltdowns once per month, roughly 30 days apart. Now, don't write that down. I think it might be related to my hormones, right? But I did notice that each month of the year, there was like a totally different freak out that would bring me to tears. And so as I was thinking about these different freakouts, I was like brainstorming what is the actual solution to each of these negative things that I was crying about each and every 30 days. Okay, so thank you for the no judgment zone. I appreciate that. Anyway, so now that I'm working as a consultant, I actually see these same consistent themes. Other parents having those same breakdowns during the same month. Now, granted, not on my 30-day cycle, they have their own 30-day cycle. But I found out that these are the 12 keys of success that can help all homeschoolers, not just me. So what I wanted to do is to walk through this crazy cycle together and go over these 12 keys one at a time so that you understand. And we're just going to jump right in with the key concept. Number one is knowing in your heart of hearts that homeschooling works, because there's going to be times when you're going to say it's not going to work for me. I know I did this every single September. Because this is a no judgment zone, I will confess, I asked my husband to stay home from work on the first day of homeschooling every single year because I was so afraid things wouldn't work out. So let me explain how to gain some confidence, okay? Think about, what does homeschooling look like in your home? I'll tell you what it looks like in my home. It looked like a boy. I have two boys. It looked like a boy on top of a dog reading a book. That was my homeschool, right? They were safe and secure. We called it learning with reckless abandon because they were just like bookaholics, you know? So everybody homeschools differently, but it can look safe and secure in any home. And that is why homeschooling works. It's because it's the best learning environment. Children learn when they're safe and secure. They learn best with real world socialization, not with socialization just within people that were born within 1 year of them. Homeschoolers do have the very best test scores across the board without regard to race or gender or income or the parents' level of education. Did you know that? That your level of education, whether you have a high school diploma or master's or doctorate degree, homeschoolers are equally successful regardless of their education. Now you can get more information on the National Home Education Research Institute, and I put their website on the workbook because I didn't want you to be having to scramble for that. But also, homeschooling is the best career preparation because it gives plenty of time for children to shape and mold their interests, because they can try different things on for size to see if they want to be an acoustic guitar star or an engineer, say. Now, there's lots of scriptural assurances too. So let me share a couple of verses real quick. It's only going to take less than a minute. And for the parents that are Christian here, it's really going to help them to look these up later on. I want you to write down, circle Psalm 139, 13 to 16. That's the one that says, your child has been given to you. By birth or adoption, you're the parent chosen for this job. Philippians 4:13 says you can do all things, even this, so you know you are capable, even if you're faced with, say, Latin or physics or chemistry. And then 1 Peter 4:8 says love covers a multitude of sins. And so you know that even when small missteps occur, and they will occur, it's going to be okay because you love your child, and the love you have for your child is going to cover over any of the messiness. So what I would like for everybody to do right now is to write this down in your workbook. I started it off for you. My child has been given to me. I am capable. And when missteps occur, it will be okay. I want you to make sure that you write that down. And I think you should all be pretty proud of me because I made it through that whole sentence without crying, which is the first time in a long time I've said that whole sentence without crying. I know that you are the very best home educator for your child. So is everybody ready? You've all written that down. I'm going to move on. Okay, key concept number 2 is to always be prepared. Well, what does that mean? Some of us are faced with super extroverted kids, dyslexic kids. I mean, it's hard to be prepared when you have so many different situations and when you have multiple children and they all have different situations. that makes it even more difficult. You know what's interesting is I have two boys, pretty close in age, very academic, pretty nerdy. They were so different from each other, even so. I had no idea what the future would hold. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to say yes if your child has ever changed their mind. Okay? Has your child ever changed their mind? Cindy says yes. Kim says yes. Matt says, well, duh, right? Of course they have. The key to success is to be prepared no matter what the future holds, no matter what plans they ultimately want to do. So let me explain this key concept. You see, every child deserves a college prep education. College bound kids, because they need college prep to get into college, we don't even need to talk about that. That's pretty self-evident. I don't even care about that right now. I want to talk about the other kids, the non-college bound kids. Why do they need college prep? It's because they may go to college when they graduate, or when they're 24, or when they're 34, or when they're 44, and because they may not go to college. Well, if they get a college prep education and they don't go to college, what's going to happen? Nothing bad. They don't get hurt by college prep. College prep provides the best education. It means your kids are challenged. It means that they're continually learning. College prep does not mean a certain level of math or science. It means challenging, not overwhelming. And that allows you, that college prep that you're doing now will allow your children as new adults, older adults, middle adults to go back to college later on, even if they have severe learning challenges, even if they don't show a glimmer of interest in college right now. Because you and I have already proven that teenagers change their mind, and nothing is going to go wrong if you provide college prep, right? Even if they don't go to college, this may be the end of their formal education, but that college prep is still going to be a great education for them. So there are two reasons why we want to be prepared. It is not because kids must go to college. People misinterpret that all the time. This has nothing to do with must or should or oughta go to college. It's because you don't know what the future holds. None of us do. So I want you to write this down and share it with your spouse. You need to be prepared for two reasons. Number one, situations change. And number two, teenagers change their mind. Now, again, what does it mean to have college prep? It does not mean calculus, physics, Latin, or logic. It means you covered the core classes, the things that they need. It means you kept them challenged. It means that they worked hard, but at their own level. So it's not an impossible feat. It's doable for every teenager, even those that have learning challenges or lack of interest in certain things or motivation problems. Now, key concept number 3 is to have a morning meeting. And why is that? It's because your role as a parent changes over time. First, you're the caretaker, changing diapers. Then you're the teacher. Here's how to add 2 and 2 or cursive. And then there's the mentor. This is the stage you're moving into. You're moving into the mentor stage. And then there's the stage of friendship. Now, the first time you make that switch from teacher to mentor, which is, like I say, that's about where you are right now, it can literally feel like you're failing because you stop teaching, right? And you feel like your job is teaching, but really you're trying to move out of that job. You're trying to get into the job of mentor. And because you don't spend an hour with each child on math and spend an hour with each child on science, you feel like you're a failure, but it's not true. It's a sign of success. So what I want you to do is, like a boss would at work, supervise the work. You're not doing it for them. So for example, my husband worked at Boeing before he started working for me. And at Boeing, he did not make the airplanes. He made sure the people made the airplanes, right? He was the project manager. And that is the key for success for a homeschool parent as well. So what does that look like when you're home educating? Well, instead of thinking nothing ever gets done, You become the project manager of your homeschool. You supervise your children without actually doing the work. You facilitate learning every day. Now, for unschoolers, that is the one sentence in the workbook you want to underline and highlight and put big arrows on. Okay, facilitate learning every day. So how do you do that? Well, you have a morning meeting. For unschoolers, relaxed homeschoolers, this daily check-in might be retroactive. What did you do yesterday? So that you have some sort of record of what they learned. For more organized, proactive, curriculum junkie type homeschoolers, then you're making a list of what they should be doing and you're telling them what to do in the coming day. Now, a morning meeting like that can prevent cheating or slacking off, because if you have a checklist and you're going over that with them, you'll make sure that they're getting it done each day. And so let me give you the great keys to a morning meeting. Okay. The keys to a morning meeting are these pieces. All right. First, you want to have this short, regular daily meeting, one child at a time. It only takes about 5 or 10 minutes, depending on the age of the child. So it's doable even with large families. And then you touch base with most subjects. Now, here's the thing. You have to start with their most challenging area, okay? Because they're unable to wing it as much in their most challenging area. And then you explain any assignments, you review your expectations for the day so that they know we're going to piano lessons today, or you've got a science lab, or there's a test in math. And if you need to, this is the time when you review consequences calmly before anything goes wrong, not after it goes wrong. Now, number 6 is huge. I want you to pay close attention. It's a big key to success with college and career in the future, and that is to master vocabulary. If you know the vocabulary of a subject, you will know 80% of that subject, which means kind of, sort of, if all you knew was the vocabulary, you could kind of get 80% on a test, right? And that's why having vocabulary is the biggest key to their success, because every college class, every career they're going to go into has their own unique vocabulary. So no matter what they do in the future, learning vocabulary is going to be the key to getting ahead. All right, key concept number 4, we are on the bottom of page 3 now, is to put weak areas first. I can't even tell you how many times I talk about this on a regular week with my members. You see, about 4 months into the school year, my panic was, how are we going to get the hard stuff done? I kept putting it off because it looked so hard. So you put off weak areas because you perceive them as being hard or messy or hated. Now, you may think I'm weird, but in my home, the hard stuff was fine art. It was very messy or loud. And I like math and science because it's tidy. I mean, like just a textbook, paper and pencil, and presto, you're ready. So let's talk about this important concept, but we need to start by identifying our own problems. Now, for those of you who are very brave, I dare you to share your weak area. But in your workbook, I want you to write down, what is your weak area? It could be a subject that your child is struggling with, like math or science, or we never actually do any writing or reading. It could be a weakness in yourself, organization, being consistent, even getting dinner on the table, right? Well, what we need is a chef and a chauffeur and a somebody to come in and clean our house for us. That's what we really need. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to fix it. Oh, Renee is speaking my love language. She also has the weak area of art. Staying on top, grading. I know, writing. Amen. So what you want to do is to put your weak areas first. But what does that mean? Just saying that isn't enough. So basically, there's 2 ways to put your weak areas first. You put it first with your time, and then you put it first with your money. Let's talk about time first. When you put your weak areas first with your time, it means three things, okay? It's your first thing each day. By the way, that's not, 5:30 in the morning, but the first fully conscious, fully caffeinated subject of the day, whether that's at 9 o'clock or 11:30, I don't care. It's your first conscious subject each day. Number two, is it your priority every day? So you do it first no matter what, and you never miss a day, okay? This is how you prioritize these important things. All right, so I'm going to give you a quick quiz. This is important, bottom of page 3. Circle which is more important if you're prioritizing your weak area. Is it more important when you get free zoo tickets or free Super Bowl tickets? I'm a huge Seahawks fan. Just take that into consideration. Or is it more important to do your weak area today? Which one, A or B, is more important? And now, before you answer, I want you to remember one thing. It is actually possible to do both. You only have to do your weak area, but then you go to the zoo, or then you go to the Super Bowl. But I'm talking about which one goes first, and Christy got it right first, right? You do it B. You do your weak area first, right? Okay, so now let's talk about the second way to put your weak area first. And that's when you put it first with your money. And this is how we actually balance finances. All right. You want to have a curriculum budget and stick to it so that you can save money in the long run. So how do you put your weak areas first in terms of money? You do that in 3 ways. First, your weak area should be the first curriculum dollars that you spend. If your weak area is art, that's the first place you spend money, right? You're willing to invest in piano lessons, or you're actually buying a drawing curriculum, whereas other people could just take their friends and go draw, right? But we actually buy something to do it. The second thing is you want to spend more money on your weakest area. It should be the best, the easiest, the most thorough, the top shelf, whatever you need to get help. So if you happen to be a nurse scared of science, for example, you would spend more money on science to make sure that you got the best stuff. You wouldn't try to piece it together yourself. Number 3, you need to be willing to reinvest in your weak areas. If it is not working after perhaps a month or 2, especially after a month or 2, buy a new curriculum. For heaven's sake, don't make your kids hate the subject more than they already hate it. You may not be able to make them love the thing that they hate, but you should be able to make it tolerable, right? So that's really important, is to make sure that you reinvest early, because it only gets worse over time. I stuck it out with a algebra curriculum one year, and it was horrible. My child hated it and really didn't seem to do well on his tests or anything. And by the end of the year, he failed algebra, and I really should have switched within the 2nd month of school. All right, key concept number 5. This is when I would cry about boundaries and constant distractions, because this usually was my meltdown in December when everybody got birthday presents and Christmas presents. And so, the gifts, the computers, the cell phones, and the usual, the social media, the gaming. So how do you handle distractions? You have to find logical boundaries with technology and life in order to solve this problem of distraction. So how do you do that? Well, it's 3 different ways. You have to set boundaries with your child's technology. Now, I do have some easy to implement suggestions. Sometimes it helps when somebody just makes a simple suggestion, right? You might include family rules that are easy to say and implement, like no technology in bedroom, bathroom, or bedtime. Bedroom, bathroom, bedtime. Turn off technology during meals and socializing, and limit social media. Those are easy to say words, and you could just say these are our family rules: no technology, bedroom, bathroom, bedtime, turn off technology during meals and socializing, and limit social media. The next thing you want to do is to set boundaries on curriculum choices that involve technology. You see, pediatricians recommend only about 2 hours of technology per day until age 18. Well, that actually includes schoolwork. So when people talk about evidence-based curriculum, there is one kind of curriculum that is not evidence-based for sure, and that is online, completely digital curriculum. It just is not proven. So if your children are struggling with online classes, you need to kind of check on your curriculum choices. Did you give them too much technology? And if it's more than 2 hours per day, it's probably going to be too much. And then third, I will say, we've talked about some hard things in 1 and 2. Number 3 is definitely the hardest. We have to control our own technology use in order to get the homeschooling done and also have healthy food and a clean home, right? So now is the interactive portion of our show. I want you to go to the middle of page 4 and look at where it says my commitment. I want you to write this down. I will set logical boundaries on my own technology use. Now you write that down, and I'm going to explain why this is so important. It's because homeschooling is not going to happen if you're on Pinterest trying to find homeschooling ideas. And homeschooling is not going to happen if you're going to be on Facebook posting your homeschool pictures. And homeschooling isn't going to happen if you're seeking online curriculum while the failures you're doing right now are completely ignored. And homeschooling isn't going to happen if you're posting on Instagram how well is homeschool going, and it takes you 8 hours to make that post about how well homeschooling is going. Homeschooling is not going to go well. So we all have to set our own boundaries on our own technology use. Now, I know that's a hard message, but this next section is a lot more fun. So I want you to keep learning here, okay? Key concept number 6 is to include the fun, baby. Include delight-directed learning. This is the key that prevents burnout. This was my meltdown in January or February, because in January or February, somebody always said they hated homeschooling. And sometimes the person that said that was me, right? So did you know that February is the #1 burnout month for all teachers, not just homeschoolers? I want you to think about what it is that causes burnout. And the next time you're having burnout in January or February, look at all the public school teachers talking to each other about their frustrations with burnout. It's a real thing. So the solution is delight-directed learning. Now I need to ask you a question. Chime in on chat. Not technology, but what non-cell phone, non-gaming thing does your child do for fun? What do they do for fun? Banjo, perfect example, Suzanne. Delight-directed learning is specialization or passion. It could be BMX riding or scootering, which we call PE in the homeschool business. Lego, great. You see, all of these things are self-study, the love of learning, and it's good for everyone. Volleyball, great for everyone. So when you include delight-directed learning, homeschooling becomes less work. When homeschooling is less work, you get more cooperation, you get more compliance, you get less whining, you get less complaining. Let me repeat, less whining, more cooperation. But it's not just you who benefit, the children benefit because it makes school more fun. Then they get that increased love of learning. That's when they get the intrinsic motivation, not the threats to be motivated, but I want to be motivated because school seems like more fun. Even though It's school. If they're playing music, that is their fine art. If they're drawing, that is their fine art. If they're playing baseball or scootering or cup stacking, those are PE classes. So you see, they don't even think of it as school, but we can put it on the transcript like it's school. And that's what makes school seem like less fun. Also, colleges love it because it makes kids more unique. It demonstrates their career goals. If you have a kid that's interested in architecture and is winning competitions in Lego, that is something that makes kids more unique. And it says, yeah, he really does want to do what he says he wants to do. So delight-directed learning is one of the most fun things that we can talk about because it makes life better for you and your kids, but we do need to move on to get through all 12 in a reasonable amount of time. So looks like I'm right on time though. We're on key concept number 7, which is to plan margin into your day. So instead of focusing on what you should have done or what you should be doing or what you wish you could do maybe next year, you focus right here and right now on having a sane life. And sane life comes from having margin. Margin brings sanity. So let me explain what margin is and why it makes your life easier. Okay. Have you ever wondered why some books are easier to read than others? It's not because they have a simpler vocabulary. It's really because they have more white space on the page. The older I get, the more I need the larger print and more white space on a page. You see, a book is easier to read when there is unwritten white space, and a life is easier to live if it has unplanned white space. Okay? Margin in life is unplanned white space. You need that white space margin. But in order to get that, that means you have to have some free time that you don't schedule, right? Children need free time when they're younger to learn. Well, they need free time when they're older to learn too, even in high school, so that they can develop whatever God-given gifts they were granted. Parents need free time for their own sanity. Nobody can go full speed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. You will get sick. That is the core lesson of the 23rd Psalm, right? So you don't want to do that. So what does that mean? How do you find margin when life is so busy? Here's the biggest problem. You have to say no to good things in life to have a balanced life. And that's saying no to good things. We're talking about chocolate cake. You are not saying no to like raw broccoli. You're saying no to chocolate cake. And the problem with homeschooling specifically is that there are so many great options in everything. There's too much great curriculum. There's too much great classes. There's too many great activities and opportunities and opportunities to go out and do with your other friends. I want you to check your schedule for a moment. After covering the core classes, make sure that you give your students some white space, okay? All of the activities that your child does may be wonderful, but neither they nor you can do it all. Let me explain, how do you know when you're not saying no enough, okay? If you don't have time to sit down and sip a cup of coffee, then you don't have enough margin in your life. I want you to take a moment, take a sip, breathe, go outside. This is therapy. I explain it this way: the one with the most balanced life wins. Okay. Now, I hate saying no to chocolate cake, but we do need to say no to some things and keep moving. So we have still a lot to cover. Key concept number 8 is to plan high school courses. It doesn't just fly by the seat of your pants. Doesn't usually work. Having a big picture plan can cover a multitude of small struggles and small stressors. I like to go hiking, and experienced hikers know that you have to have the 10 essentials that include a good map and a plan. experienced homeschoolers need a strong plan for classes. Now, this is a hard lesson for me to explain, so I want you to listen carefully. There are people that are attending this class today who are going to face a major crisis in the next 4 or 5 years through the end of high school. It could be death, disability, divorce, disease, fire. There's a lot of bad things. I've seen bad things happen to good homeschoolers. And you don't know the problems that you haven't faced because you're not facing them yet. And so what would you, like if you were in the middle of something, what would you go back and tell your younger self to do? How would you plan ahead if you knew a major crisis was coming? How would you plan ahead? When you're a homeschool parent, planning ahead for classes, just having that loose plan of what you think you're going to be covering each year, that is how you can avoid having your crisis affect all of high school. Okay? So let me explain what the core classes are, because you want to cover the core classes every single year. That means English, you want to have 4 years of reading and writing at your child's level. It means 4 years of math. Again, not necessarily calculus, right? Just covering 1 year of math each year. And then for social studies, having 3 to 4 years. Now, social studies usually should include American history, world history, economics, and government. And then the other core class is science. You want to have 3 years of science with 1 science lab. So if you were faced with a crisis situation, if you had always been doing the core classes every year, you would still be in good shape. If you were having a crisis year, let's say you and your husband were in the hospital and your children are there with grandma, supposedly doing their work. If they could just get done their core classes, nothing bad would happen. Your high school plan would come out flawlessly in the end. But you have to start 9th grade with those core classes in mind that you never drop every year. Now, beyond that, you go beyond the core in the years when you're not having a family crisis. So you're trying to go beyond the core, doing all of these. If you have nobody in the hospital, there's no family crisis, nothing medical, death, disease, divorce, nothing like that is happening right now, then you go beyond the core so that if something terrible were to happen in the future, you had already gotten started in the beyond the core classes. So what's beyond the core? That means you have foreign language. Some colleges may want to see 2 years or 3 years or 4 years of foreign language. So I usually will kind of round it to 2 to 3 years. PE, that would be 2 years of physical education, which can include health, nutrition, anything that breaks a sweat. And by the way, if you have already experienced a crisis of some sort, any kind of therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, nutrition therapy, all of those therapies, that is included in PE. And then fine art, you want to have at least 1 or 2 years of fine art, which could be either music, art, theater, or dance. And they could have lots more than just that amount if they really love the subject. And then for electives, you want to have enough so that you have at least 24 total credits. That is not 24 electives, not 24 electives. That's 24 credits, of which enough electives fill in the gap. Now, where do you get electives? Let me explain. Electives are classes that are required by your state law, maybe state history, occupational education, technology credits. Number 2, things that are required by parents. maybe the Bible or logic or Latin or auto mechanics. Number 3 is delight directed learning. That's the stuff the kids do for fun. That's also educational somehow. So those are the 3 sources of the electives, so that you have enough electives to make 24 or more total credits overall. So now we need to talk about, we know all these classes, we know we're not going to overwork our children, we know that we're going to say no to some good things. Next thing we got to do is to choose curriculum wisely. Every May, I would have a total meltdown about the grass is always greener. I always thought that curriculum is perfect. That curriculum is much better than this curriculum. And that's the difficulty that we had, was choosing curriculum when there were so many good choices. And I was also faced with, tell me if you've heard this one before, choosing curriculum to teach a subject I did not know myself, like physics, Latin, calculus. Did not know them myself. So what to do? Let me explain this next key. Instead of looking at the grass is always greener somewhere else, instead of following blindly the fads of homeschooling, you want to choose curriculum wisely. And that means understanding what a good curriculum is. You see, there is no perfect curriculum or magic words. My husband and I, why can't we find the magic words to solve this problem? There are no magic words. There is no perfect curriculum. Not even what your friends say is perfect. It only seems perfect because it's a perfect fit for one particular child. Okay, so it's not going to be a perfect curriculum for your child, even if it's the most highly rated, even if it's the best reviewed, even if it has the prettiest textbook pictures. Let me explain. Perfect curriculum is challenging to your student, but not overwhelming. That's the sweet spot. Challenging, not overwhelming. It should teach them something they don't already know. That's what challenging means. And it should be doable so they can actually do it without getting overwhelmed. So in each of those subject areas, English, math, social studies, science, foreign language, PE, fine art, and electives, you're keeping it at their level in each subject all the time. It's not over their head. It's not boring. It doesn't repeat what they already know. Okay? No matter how far advanced your child is or how far behind your child is, the perfect curriculum is challenging to them, but not overwhelming. Now, when you're shopping for homeschooling curriculum, the most important thing is to use curriculum that is made for homeschoolers. That is because it expects that you don't know the subject and your child doesn't know the subject, and there's no teacher. So the textbook, the curriculum you're buying, knows it has to teach the students for you. Okay. Now, the next thing to keep in mind is that tried and true curriculum is almost always better than the latest and greatest curriculum. Because again, it's about fit, not fabulous. You want them to learn something. But the latest and greatest is not been tried and tested yet. So you don't know how it's really going to work with children that are like your children. And sometimes, I will say, sometimes you'll find that it's a perfect curriculum for you, but your child hates it, or it's a perfect curriculum for your child, but you hate it. So like in my own life, I hated Saxon. Hated Saxon. At one point, I forbid my children from using Saxon math. I was laughing when I said it, but I was also very serious. And then I found out that my son, who failed Algebra 1, learned with Saxon math. You have no idea the surprise that I felt. Apparently, he liked it because there was only numbers on a page, not pictures, which is the same reason why I hated it, because there were no pictures on the page, right? Everybody has their own learning style. Okay, Now, the next thing we have to do is to be the guidance counselor. Now, be patient with yourself because you do have to learn how to be a guidance counselor so that you're no longer afraid. But I want you to spend a moment thinking about, I'm going to embrace this new role as guidance counselor. And I know that you're going to be the best guidance counselor for your child because you actually love them, because you actually care about their future. You actually care whether they have college debt and are swimming in debt or whether they get scholarships. You're invested in making sure that they will become successful as an independent adult in the long run. That's why you're going to be the best guidance counselor. So let's talk about what the guidance counselor does so you can take that love for your child and implement it. Okay? Now, instead of being terrified of things that the guidance counselor has to do, I want you to learn. Okay? Number one, you learn how to maintain high school records that are needed for college and career changes. It's actually a lot easier than you'd think. I want you to learn how to make a transcript and course descriptions. I think sometimes people get so afraid of the record keeping that they panic and bail. When actually investing a short amount of time, you can learn everything that you need to know, get the job done quickly, and it's a lot easier than people think it would be. The second thing you want to do is to keep an academic calendar of what tests to take and when to take them, and put those on the calendar. And it's like, as an adult, we know what April 15th means every single year, right? And eventually you'll start to recognize the test dates and the different times of year and how they mean different things. Now, I know that the academic calendar can be challenging, but I just want to point out that in my newsletter every month, on my blog every month, I give you a calendar of what you need to do for the coming month so you can stay on top of what you need to be doing. Number three is to learn what colleges want so that you can be the project manager of college admission. To be honest, public school parents need to do that too, otherwise their kids will fall between the cracks. So how do you do all this? I know even on the screen it can look a little bit overwhelming, but I know you can do it because you are love givers, not just caregivers, not just teachers. You are love givers. But how can you get better at your job? How can you learn about that? Well, the answer is the key concept number 11. You need to invest in yourself. You see, every year, right around June of each year, I would start to realize I had invested everything in my children's curriculum, and I had forgotten one person of the homeschool that was also important, and that was me. I needed to invest in myself. I remember year after year saying things like, but I can't teach Latin, but I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. So here's the thing. You need to invest in yourself. And this is the simplest, easiest way to make sure that you can handle whatever comes next. So make an investment. A lot of really effective homeschoolers will have a rule for themselves. Every time I buy curriculum for my children, I buy something for myself that makes me a better home educator. And that's what I would like you to do. You know, on an airplane, when they tell you to put on your own oxygen mask first, that's kind of similar to this. We need to teach ourselves what we need to do about this, as well as teaching our children what they need to know. So how do you invest in yourself? I want you to embrace this role that you've taken on as your chosen vocation. You did actually choose to homeschool. After all, nobody, was forcing you into this. You may have been encouraged strongly, but, you were not forced. So how do you embrace this vocation? You take continuing education classes. Now, right here and right now, we are all together, all of us taking continuing education classes, okay? So if you could just type in something about this continuing education class, right? I am taking continuing education. This is good continuing education. Continuing education is important. Type something like that because you are being a professional right now. And of course, there's other ways to get continuing education. You go to a homeschool convention, you go to support group meetings. Those are a little harder in terms of a global pandemic, but you can also buy resources that help you homeschool with confidence. I love what Cindy said. They help me reset my thinking as a homeschool teacher. That's excellent. Tiffany, regaining my confidence. Jennifer Skipper saying, I'm so thankful for these classes. Excellent. Yeah, you guys are doing a really good job right now with your continuing education, and I'm really, really proud of you. Okay, so the key concept number 4 is to continue on knowing that each year builds. It's not like you go from like 6th grade to 12th grade, right? Each year builds on its own. So it never should feel like it's all just too much. It should feel like you're doing one step at a time. And I will say a lot of homeschoolers are trying to cram 4 years of high school into 9th grade. And some really intense homeschoolers are trying to make their kids college ready before they even start high school. I've seen that happen. You know, if it's you. You go to the convention, you buy all the curriculum, you come home with enough for an army of homeschoolers. You've got 18 hours a day worth of curriculum and only 24 hours in a day. And you realize, who needs sleep anyway? Sleep is for sissies, right? So let's be reasonable instead. Remember that the person with the most balanced life wins. So what I want you to do is to understand your one goal for each year. Now in this section, it's a little bit different. We're on the bottom of page 6. Here's what I want you to do. I just want you to write down the underlined words on your screen for each year. But if you have a child that's at that stage, then I want you to fill in the details with the things that you think are really important to remember. So the first one that's up is middle school. People don't realize that there is no specific middle school level anything. The purpose of middle school is either to review the elementary age material or to preview the high school level material. It's kind of a pause where everybody can catch up with everybody else. So your children can either review or preview, which means you are not necessarily choosing any specific subject for them. So that's what the children do. What do the parents do during middle school? During middle school, your job is to learn about homeschooling high school and to practice record keeping. That's all you have to do is practice and learn. Nothing's real. The points don't matter. Okay, practice and learn. Now, during freshman year, the goal is just to think about college. You don't have to make any decisions. You're just thinking. That means that the parent is learning more about homeschooling high school, and then you start keeping a reading list. And then you make a transcript. It's very important to make a transcript every single year of high school. This is really important because sometimes people think the transcript is the one reason why they will not homeschool high school. And I'm here to tell you, you can make a transcript and it is super easy for you to do. All right, sophomore year, write this down. The plan for sophomore year is to plan for college. And I say plan because this is when you start thinking about the college admission test. You have your child take the PSAT just for fun. The points don't matter, right? And just in case they decided on foreign language, on going to college, you start a foreign language. Now, with any job, regardless of whether you go to college or not, with any job, any college, you'll always get a better offer if your child is bilingual. So this will pay off no matter what happens. You know, they get improved employment opportunities, higher salaries, not just for college. And of course, you make your transcript. Junior year. Now, during junior year, you have to understand they have no idea what they want to do in life. They don't know if they're going to apply for a job. They don't know if they want to go to college. This is where that always be prepared really comes into play, okay? By planning junior year this way, you will be ready for anything. And so here's what you do. You take the PSAT in the fall. That gives them a practice test, and then maybe they'll win the National Merit Scholarship. You have them attend college fairs and visit colleges. That will help them decide if they want to go or not. When you're at a college fair, you can say, you know what, here's my interest. What do you think would be a good major? And maybe they'll say, well, here's a major, or they'll suggest something that doesn't require college at all. And then the child will take the SAT or ACT in the spring of 11th grade twice. That's important because some colleges will require test scores even if you go, in years to come. Number 4, you make your transcript. Always, always, always make a transcript. And then number 5 is by the end of 11th grade, you want to choose colleges where you're going to apply. And I'm going to explain why in just a second. But this is how you're going to be ready for senior year. And notice how those tasks get longer as we go along. And that's why if you do have older friends with older teens, it really does get busier as children get older. So the goal for senior year is to apply for college or career. You cannot apply for a career until the end of senior year, but you have to apply for college at the beginning of senior year. So to keep all of your options open, if you apply to college in the fall, then you look at the results. What scholarships did you get? How much is it going to cost to go to college? Is it cheaper to go to college or cheaper to go for a career? What's going to pay off? What's my child going to do better? And that way you'll have all of these great options for your senior to choose between. You start by applying to college in the fall. And if this in the spring, if you're not happy with whatever it is, they've decided they can apply for a job later on. Now, the steps to applying for college or career means that your transcript is already completely ready to go by September of senior year. All of your course descriptions are ready to go. In fact, I just spoke to one mom yesterday who said she was told by her college, your child will get a full tuition scholarship if you apply within the next 2 weeks with course descriptions, but these spots fill up quickly, so you need to hurry. And she was in a panic. She did not have her course descriptions ready. Number 2, you want to start your applications in September, sometimes even earlier. Number 3, you complete the FAFSA October 1st of senior year. EGAD, everybody check the calendar. Complete the FAFSA October 1st of senior year. Number 4, you make final decisions in the spring. Oh, that's a surprising amount of scholarships. It's cheaper for my child to go to college than it is for them to live at home. Or, no way am I paying that for college. Are you crazy? Get a job, kid, right? And that's how you make that decision. And then finally, you plan a graduation celebration and you present a diploma to your child, because nobody may ever ask you, can I see your diploma? But almost all job applications will say, do you have a high school diploma? So when you have a graduation party and you present them with a diploma, they will remember that. And that's why the party is so important. So I hope these keys have been useful to you. You know what I would love for you to do right now is to tell me, what was the most useful key to success for you right now? I'm sure Heather's thinking, boy, is that continuing education as a speech pathologist. She has to take continuing education all the time. This is what homeschoolers are supposed to be doing too, right? So what was your most useful key to success right now? I know that people attend this workshop for all sorts of reasons. I will say that for me, it was all of the above, because I still am a homeschool sissy. I really needed support, and I was nervous and scared, and I hate to give that to you like it's a gift, but that's definitely how I was feeling. So I also know that you've loved homeschooling your children, and you may feel a little bit uncertain about your ability to continue homeschooling through high school, but you can succeed. And now is the time to move confidently into middle school, into high school, with your eye toward long-term success. This is your time. What you need, though, is some proven solutions to the toughest challenges that you're going to face. And that begs the question, how do you find the knowledge and strength and encouragement to succeed while you're homeschooling middle school or high school? Because it's a busy life. Your options are what I use all the time, which is chocolate and coffee. You could branch out a little and you could ask your friends, how do they do it? You could do endless research. Have you noticed that the internet never ends? Or you could give up. I've seen lots of people do that. They send their kids to public school, private school, charter school, French Foreign Legion. But there is a better way, and you can start strong with the high school solution. The high school solution is my solution for you. It's perfect if you are a veteran who homeschooled before but wants to do a better job this time, or you're new with kids that are just nearing homeschool for the first time. Maybe you're isolated, military, missionary, living overseas, remote environment. Maybe you're a parent raising a struggling learner. Maybe you're praying for a way to survive high school. Maybe you're parenting the next Einstein, or doubting your ability to keep them challenged. The high school solution is the fastest, easiest way to set them up for successful high school and gain the confidence that you need to tackle the challenges of every stage of the journey. The high school solution is a collection of online resources and continuing education classes that have been recorded in the past, lots of workbooks, lots of ebooks. This is all for parents. I do not teach kids, I teach you, right? It includes over 50 hours of training classes that will fit your learning style. You get to choose between them, use what you need when you need it. Each class includes video, audio, handouts, articles. There's ebooks, there's downloadables. The high school solution has 4 core modules that will teach you how to homeschool every age and stage. There are also 4 resource packs that will help you with a monthly question and answer time, downloadable tools, a calendar for each year of high school. We also have everyday value bonuses. So no matter when you make your purchase of the high school solution, you get 4 bonus packs with an $87 value. You get the motivation pack. We've all been talking about how motivation is so important. We get the Taming Technology Pack, a 6-hour class on how do you handle technology in your home. Finding the Faith Pack, tons of scripture for Christian families who really need something to hang on to tight. And then there's the Continuing Education Pack. That's the Silver Training Club membership. With the Silver Training Club, you get it free for 30 days, and then it's $27 per month. You can cancel at any time, no questions asked. The benefit of the Silver Training Club is there's only 5 classes each month, and they change each month. So it's a little smaller, little more bite-sized. I find it helpful for people that tend to get overwhelmed. Sometimes people say, can I buy everything that you own? And oh, sure, here's the link. But then they get overwhelmed. This is the solution to not getting overwhelmed. After 30 days, you'll be charged $27 a month, but you can purchase at any time, even the day that you make your purchase. Now, in order to get these surprise bonuses, you need to order within the next hour. By the top of the hour, you will get the Creating a Homeschool Balance workshop, the Secrets to Homeschool Success workshop, and the Beyond Academics workshop, so that you can help your child to grow up to be successful, thriving adults and not boomerang couch potatoes. We also have a special surprise book bundle for you to help you learn the essentials of homeschooling with excellence. Now, this all has a 100% no questions asked money back guarantee. Because this is a digital product and we don't mail anything to you, that means that you can also return it within 30 days of your purchase without having like a restocking fee or some penalty or mail it back or any of that. It's simple. Now, we also have a workshop special, and you can save $100 today if you use coupon code HSS1 97. So I'd like for you to do me a favor, please. And on your workbook, I want you to write down HSS 97 because that's the only way to get $100 off during this special workshop. So your investment today is only $97 instead of $197. And you don't have to piece it together. You can do it the easy way. You get lifetime access. You can use it with all of your children. It's a one-time payment, or you can break it into small, easily manageable payment plan. And it comes with a money-back guarantee. And we've thrown in all of those bonuses and goodies today. Let me show you where to put that coupon code so you don't miss it. On step 2 of the order form is where you put in your billing and your credit card information. And then on the right there, where it says coupon, that's where you type in HSS 97, and you have to hit the apply button. When you hit apply, that's when the price will magically change to $97 here. The one thing I wanted to point out was down at the bottom, on the bottom left, where it says record keeping. If you have not yet made your transcript and course descriptions, reading list, activity list, school profile, listen up, because you can add the comprehensive record solution to your order for just $67, and that's $80 off the regular price. Normally, the comprehensive record solution is $147. So this price is only available when you're on this form. So once you leave this page, that offer will disappear, and it is the lowest price you will ever see on the comprehensive record solution. It is also a lifetime purchase to help you with all of your homeschool records that you could ever be asked for, and you can use it with all of your children, even the ones that are toddlers now. This will be ready for you when you're ready. After you decide, do you want to include it or not, you agree to terms and conditions, and then you complete your purchase. By the way, if you do order the comprehensive record solution, we're going to throw in the total transcript solution for free, and you'll be able to build a scholarship winning transcript template today. Now, you can get even more help if you are a college bound family, and you can add the college launch solution, finding a college module, to your purchase and get $20 off today. This module is going to help you to plan junior year. Remember how we said it was so complicated to plan? There's a lot of things you needed to do. It will help your child to succeed at testing, PSAT, SAT, ACT, CLT, even if they have learning challenges. It's going to help you find and choose a college that's going to give your child great scholarships, and help you to handle special situations like applying to an Ivy school, a military academy, having a struggling learner, wanting a Christian college, NCAA, living overseas, really unique things. Now, you can add this to your purchase for only $67. That's $20 off regular price. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee still, and lifetime access to this as well. So now I am ready to take your questions. And I hope that you can type those in again. If I missed something, you can go ahead and give me those questions again. Kim was saying, how do we put dates on a transcript if we do school year round and they don't end in June, the usual completion date? Well, Kim, sometimes you have to think about it like changing a diaper, right? Where, once in a while you change the diaper, and that's when you write it down. And you could just decide that every June, that's when you change their diaper, and you clear out what they've learned and you put it on a piece of paper. Other times it makes sense just to put the month and the year that you're completing things, especially if you are, you're using textbooks, but on the off season. Okay, we finished math in November, I'm putting it down in November. We finished Latin in March, I'm putting it down in March of this year. So it kind of depends on your situation. And I will say that there's a lot of right ways to do these things. All right, Sarah's question. Hi, Sarah. What would you do if a student has been taught proper writing and penmanship and they have dissolved into chicken scratch and sentence fragments, and they don't seem to care about grades. Oh, okay, so we actually have two questions in there. The first, let me address penmanship and chicken scratch. Okay, the reason why we teach penmanship and physical writing when children are younger is because it does devolve into chicken scratch over time. And so the better they can write when they're in second grade, the more they will hold on to when they are a teenager. And your goal during high school is no longer a specific style, even if you really stressed over which penmanship style are we going to teach. None of that matters when they're in high school. The only thing that matters is it legible? Okay. When it goes into the jokes about medical doctors, that is not legible. Your goal is legible. If it's chicken scratch that is legible, you're fine. When you have a child that is really struggling with penmanship and they're in high school, it often makes sense to allow them to type their papers. You still need to have some sort of outline on paper, but they can be typing their reports or anything that they need to write to you. They could be typing that, and that might solve the problem. As far as motivation, I would really encourage you to look at the high school solution and take the class on motivation, because sometimes it is as simple as finding the delight directed learning that they need, finding the internship that's going to motivate them to want to get better so that they can have this job that they want to have, intrinsic motivation. What's interesting about the high school solution motivation pack is that it's not just me teaching you about motivation. I also have the guest speaker, Andrew Pudwa, on his take on motivation. So it's really quite a lot of useful and even philosophical information on motivation that's going to help you. Let's see, Suzanne's question. I'm wondering if it's better to leave some hobbies and activities as extracurriculars rather than trying to assign a grade. I remember colleges wanting to see extracurriculars. Yes, that is true. What you do need to remember though, Suzanne, is that when I was in high school, it was both. When I was in high school, I took choir every year. Choir, right? 4 years of choir, 4 credits of choir. I got an A in choir every year because I showed up for class and I showed up for the performances and I didn't disrupt the class. And I never was taught how to read music, by the way, but we also never had a fill in the bubble test in choir. I got A's for 4 credits of choir. On my activity list, my extracurricular list, it said I was a member of the Bellevue High School choir, concert choir, I think it was. And so it can be both. If your child is doing something for fun, they can find it very motivating to see it on their transcript and be successful with their homeschooling, to realize that it's less work than they were expecting, that they have more free time than they were expecting, and yet that free time is still put right on to their transcript. So it can be that motivation that we were saying that they were kind of missing. And so that might be the answer for you. Let's see, Tiffany's question, are we able to rewatch this workshop? Yes, you are. I do have this recorded version for members, but we're hoping that if we get the technology all worked out, that we'll be able to give you a successful recording at the end. Cindy's question, is there a way to count Sunlight World History or their history philosophy courses as electives beyond social studies or literature? Okay, when you're talking about these huge, gigantic classes, literature-based classes, Sunlight is one, but there's multiple. Classical Conversations is like that as well. Usually it's going to be 1 credit of history, 1 credit of English that includes both reading and writing, Often it will be a Bible class as well, maybe a half a credit or a whole credit of Bible. Sometimes some of the curriculum will have an additional piece, philosophy or a fine art. You see appreciation of fine art an awful lot. And so it depends on the curriculum that you're using. But Sunlight is intended to work about 4 hours a day. So it's usually a history, an English, a Bible, and one other as well. And not usually beyond that, but sometimes, yes. The thing you need to understand about most curriculum, especially Sunlight, I'm a Sunlight user. That's me. My kids love Sunlight. They talk about Sunlight to this day. But the thing that you need to understand about it is that there's too much for any one person to do. So you really do need to kind of pick and choose what is useful and decide, okay, how many hours a day is reasonable for us to use on this curriculum. And then after that, we just kind of let it go. So for us, we didn't do the timelines. I worked more on mapping current events, but we didn't read the questions in the teacher's guide, that sort of thing. We just enjoyed the reading mostly. Let's see. Test prep. This is Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. Good to see you. I'm confused. You're taking the 10th grade PSAT for fun, and then you start studying? Yes, yes. And then you retake it in 11th in the fall one time after studying. So let me explain it this way. I know it's confusing. I have a whole 1 hour class on testing. So let me try and explain it this way. The first time you take the PSAT, that is like your starting pistol for test prep. So if your child is ready, has enough Algebra 1, for example, to take the PSAT in 10th grade, as I'm suggesting, that becomes your starting pistol for test prep. And throughout 10th grade, much of 11th grade, you're incorporating a reasonable amount of test prep every day. I'm not one that over pushes test prep. I have known some consultants that will say test prep an hour a day from 9th grade on, and I don't see the point of that. But if your child already has your Algebra 1, then that means they could do reasonably well at test prep at home. And so maybe for a half an hour, maybe 3 days a week, that's a reasonable amount. So when you take the PSAT in 10th, that's the starting pistol. Let's start our test prep. They take the PSAT in 11th grade. Again, that's when it counts for real for the National Merit Scholarship. And then that is when you start your test prep in earnest, so that you take the SAT or ACT 2 times in the spring of 11th grade. Okay, now the studying for this doesn't take very long. Much of the study that you're doing is actually in the area of English. So you can put aside workbooks that you do in English. You know, when you get up into that age, you don't usually have a separate vocabulary workbook or a spelling workbook or a grammar workbook. Instead, those things go out the window, and instead you're using your test prep as those workbooks. And so that's how you're able to incorporate it without overworking your child. Okay, Ken's question, she has a specific question about Washington State, and I can answer this because I live in Washington State. This is where the cool kids hang out, okay? And her question is, how do I note occupational education on a transcript if it's required every year in Washington? Kim, it is not required every year in Washington. The 11 subjects that we're responsible to teach to our children are supposed to be taught somewhere between kindergarten and 12th grade. So they don't have to be done every year. You only have to do it once. Also, occupational education is going to be the easiest class for you to ever teach, because at some point your child will become motivated for money, especially if you don't have money all the time. And when that happens, they will get a job, and it might be dog walking, or it might be interning, or it could be working for a dental hygienist's office. It could be anything, babysitting, you don't know. When they start working for money, you start counting how many hours they've worked. That is their occupational education. There's other things that you can do for occupational education, early childhood education, auto mechanics, technology classes. I mean, there's the endless opportunities. But because most children are motivated by money and to get a job at some point, counting their time on the job is by far the easiest one, and you don't have to do it every year. Special note, like who else cares? They don't live in Washington. Washington State history is not required for homeschoolers in Washington State. It is only required for public school students. So I just made your life easier. I wish I would have known that. My kids hated Washington State history. Hey, I wanted to say thank you to Katrina, who just purchased and said, oh, that course on motivating teens with Andrew Poudois sounds amazing. It really, really was amazing. Andrew Poudois and I have taught multiple classes together, and we really love working with each other, but it's fascinating to see how his way of teaching is different from mine, because we teach together on the same screen at the same time. And I'm all like, here's the workbook and here's the answers, and super organized. And he's all like, let me teach you the philosophy behind this, you know? And so to have us both together in our classes side by side, I find it fits the learning style of parents from both perspectives, you know, and then you're covered one way or the other. Let's see, and the technology boundaries, I didn't think I needed this, but now I'm starting to rethink things, because excessive screen time, my own as well as my children, is the bane of my existence. Amen and amen. I will say the best advice I got on my cell phone was actually from my daughter-in-law, and she turns on her ringer only for her family members, and then she puts her phone in the drawer in the kitchen. So if the phone were to ring and it were your husband, you would hear it, but you don't hear those chimes, those constant chimes. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And I thought that was just genius. Hey, let me really quickly give everybody the ebook that's going to help you homeschool. We talked about this at the beginning. It's really perfect for beginners, but it is by far my favorite free ebook that I give away. I probably give it away way too often in my classes because I think it's so important. It talks you through that morning meeting, and I just think it's really important for us to be confident in why we're homeschooling and know how we are homeschooling. And I think that that gives you lots of the keys to success right there. So if you could grab your free ebook, Better Home Educator, I think that would really help. And I will find a tiny URL next time so that you could type that in if need be. Okay, Kim says, what's a good class title for Legos for Delight Directed Learning? I have not found one yet. I would love to know the perfect class title for Legos. Mostly, I use that as an activity on the activity list when they're competing in things. I will say, when you're going to visit colleges or on a college fair, which again is 11th grade, for kids that love Legos, I usually recommend that they put a tiny toy in their pocket. For those who loves Lego, it's easy. You put in a Lego in your pocket, and that will give you something to talk about, right? And to just say, I love Legos, I compete in Legos, I can't decide whether I want to be a chemical engineer or an architect because I love it so much, and it gives them something to talk about. So let's see, Kim's question on grading fairness. Oh my goodness. Should it be the same for all siblings or catered to each child? Easy answer, Kim. It definitely should be catered to each child. Second of all, what did I do as a home educator? I had two children that were the same in many ways, but very, very different in many ways. They were 2 years apart. They were doing sunlight together all the time. We had two completely different outcomes that we were expecting. With Kevin, it's like, come on, you got to get 2 pages. Got to get 2 pages. With Alex, it was always like, cut it off, Alex. No more than 5 pages. No matter what happens, no more than 5 pages. And you cannot mention Thomas Jefferson more than once per month in any of your papers. And that was, we had different expectations for each child. In high school, even in the college level, what I've seen from my children, teachers do have different expectations. You know, they're looking in high school, they're looking for kids that will do their very best, their improvement. Many times they're being graded on turning things in. Did they turn it in? Yes, no, it's binary, not grading each particular thing. And I think that's important when you're talking about grading things like math, for example. Maybe your child is struggling in the tests and is a poor test taker, but does all the work. You need to make sure that you're giving them the benefits of turning in the work, as well as the benefit of their having the test scores and that sort of thing. Well, I hope that you've grabbed the ebook, How to Be a Better Home Educator. One last reminder, a couple of people are asking privately about the special offer. And so I wanted to make sure that you remember the special offer. The High School Solution is a collection of resources that are meant to teach you, not your children. They have classes, workbooks, ebooks for parents, over 50 hours of training classes that fit your learning style. These classes are going to teach you how to homeschool every age and stage. There's a class, how do you homeschool middle school? How do you homeschool 11th grade? How do you homeschool 12th grade? And then every stage along the way, how do I get started? How do I get my kid motivated? How do I handle the tests? How do I make the transcript? That sort of thing. And of course, today we have those extra bonuses, the 4 surprise bonus books and the 3 surprise bonus classes. And that's what is today's deal. So listen, a couple of people are on the order form as if they were thinking, gee, what do I need to do? I can't decide. What do I do? If you're hesitating for some reason, I would love to answer that question for you. So if you could just chime in on chat and tell me why you're hesitating, then I'd be able to answer that for you. Christy said, is there a download for the workbook? It's in the chat. So if you scroll back on the chat, you will see that. And Jennifer, not Jennifer the guest, Jennifer, my assistant, could you please chime in and type in the link for the book again, How to Be a Better Home Educator? That'd be helpful. Thank you. Christy is asking for that. There it is. There it is. Great. Okay, and then Kim said, could I get a recording of the webinar? The sound is going off and on. We are struggling to provide that for you. I'm hoping that we're going to get a good recording. I can never promise anything, especially today. The weather in Seattle is very heavy, and sometimes that interferes with our ability to broadcast the recording. So I'm definitely going to try that for you. So I do hope that at least one of these keys to success has given you some peace, some confidence, because you know our goal when we're homeschooling is not to overwork our child or to beat them into submission somehow so that they will achieve one thing. Instead, our goal is actually love, joy, peace, patience, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And those are the things that we're actually wanting for our children for their lifetime, right? Christy's question, from someone who has already purchased the high school solution, total transcript solution, comprehensive record solution, and has paid for all 3 of those, but not purchased the college launch solution. If I had known there would be an offer, I would have waited because I've been wanting to get this ready all along. We actually do have a coupon code for that. We have a coupon code for $100 off if you want to buy all of the college launch solution. And we have a $20 off coupon for each individual module. of the college launch solution. So we're committed to making sure that nobody is disappointed. And actually, if you go, I'll show you this other picture here. Remember how we were talking about if you buy the comprehensive record, we'll throw in the total transcript solution free. It's because some people were being disappointed. And we thought, well, if we take the bigger price one, the comprehensive record solution, and we add the total transcript solution to it, then nobody will be disappointed. And so, Chrissy, our commitment is to you to not be disappointed either. And so we will be happy to give you that coupon code. And looks like my husband just did that. So you can also ask my staff, and after class has ended, if you still find that you've changed your mind, you wanted to place your order after all you need to do is to reach out to my staff, and they will be happy to provide the coupon code to make sure that you're not disappointed. So listen, we do still have quite a few people that are, it looks like 50 actually people that are on the order form. And I do need to end our workshop now, but what we're going to do, because there's so many people attending today, we're going to extend the sale until midnight tonight. So as long as you place your order by midnight, you'll still be able to get the coupon code that works, and we will still provide the bonuses that were mentioned in this class. I have to give you a top secret little hint. We do not stay up until midnight to turn off those things. As long as you place the order before I get to work in the morning, that's truly when the sale ends. I don't actually work 24 hours a day. I know, you're shocked. Anyway, so I hope that that will help you as you're making your decisions today. And I'm looking forward to being with you next time for our next continuing education class. And I'm really hoping that I can send you guys the recording. I just hate to promise it. If we get a good recording, it will show up in your inbox within 2 hours if you have registered for this class online. Okay, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and that you